In 1999, a bloodied and frantic pilot staggers into a dimly lit pawn shop, clutching a worn-out toy monkey with cymbals frozen midair. His breath is ragged, his hands shaking as he mutters to the bewildered shop owner. This thing is cursed. When it plays, people die. A heavy silence hangs between them. Then, the monkey stirs. Its eerie jingle creeps through the room like a death knell. For a moment, nothing. Then, mayhem. A tiny mouse gnaws through a wire, sending a crackling jolt into a statue gripping a harpoon gun. The trigger snaps. A harpoon rockets across the shop, piercing the owner's chest. His scream barely escapes before the mechanism yanks him back, his body crumpling like a rag doll. The pilot doesn't flinch. He tightens his grip on the monkey, eyes dark with desperation. There's only one thing left to do. Desperate, Petey lunges for a flamethrower, determined to end the nightmare. But can fire stop something this evil? Petey vanishes, leaving behind his wife Lois and their twin sons, Hal and Bill. His absence casts a long shadow over their lives. As the years pass, Hal and Bill drift further apart. Hal, quiet and hesitant, becomes an easy target for Bill's taunts. Their bond fractures, resentment growing between them. Their mother, hardened by past betrayals, raises them with a cynical outlook, teaching them that the world is harsh and survival means expecting the worst. One day, while sorting through their father's old belongings, they stumble upon a strange toy hidden in a worn-out box labeled "Like Life." Assuming it was meant to say "lifelike," Hal turns the key. Nothing happens. That evening, their babysitter takes them to a hibachi restaurant. Hal leaves the monkey behind in the car, unaware that its presence alone is enough to set something terrible in motion. Outside, the monkey begins to move. The steady beat of its cymbals echoes in the empty car. Inside, the hibachi chef, caught up in playful banter, loses focus. A single slip, metal flashes, and in an instant, tragedy strikes. Chaos erupts, screams shattering the lively atmosphere. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the monkey falls silent. At school, Bill turns Hal into a joke, getting other kids to mock him for carrying the monkey. Fed up, Hal decides to use it against Bill. He winds the key and waits. That evening, Bill comes home as his mother bakes a cake. The monkey's tune ends. She suddenly starts bleeding from her eyes, nose, and mouth before collapsing. She dies within seconds. At the funeral, Bill clings to her coffin, begging her to wake up. Years later, Hal explains she suffered a rare condition, a boomerang aneurysm. Racked with guilt, he takes an axe to the monkey, determined to destroy it. After the death of their mother, the boys are sent to live with their Uncle Chip and Aunt Ida. They try to move on, but the monkey reappears, completely intact. Bill, still skeptical of its power, winds the key. During a camping trip, Uncle Chip drifts off to sleep, unaware of the distant rumble growing louder. Moments later, a stampede of wild horses barrels through the campsite, trampling him inside his sleeping bag. By morning, there's nothing left but shredded fabric and blood-soaked ground. Terrified, the boys seal the monkey in its box and hurl it down a well, praying it stays buried forever. 25 years later, Hal lives in solitude, haunted by the past. He has a son, Petey, but only sees him once a year, terrified that any closer bond will invite disaster. When the time comes for their annual visit, Hal arrives at his ex-wife's home, expecting to take Petey for the week. Instead, he's met with crushing news. Her new husband, Ted Hammerman, a so-called leading expert, is adopting Petey. They believe it's best if Hal disappears from his son's life entirely. A heavy silence lingers. Hal stares at them, numb. He spent his whole life running from fate. Now, it's ripping away the only thing he has left. Aunt Ida, now living alone, heads into her basement. The stairs give way beneath her, and she crashes down, her face catching on rusted fishhooks. Bleeding and disoriented, she stumbles upstairs to treat herself with rubbing alcohol. A faint clicking sound comes from the stove. She leans in to check. Flames erupt, engulfing her head. She runs outside in a panic, only to collide face first with the jagged edge of a for sale sign. Her body collapses, smoke still rising from her scorched skin. Days later, her belongings are sold off. Among them sits the monkey, untouched. Ricky, the quiet son of a local police officer, picks it up, unknowingly sealing his fate. And just like that, another life is claimed. If you're hooked on this unraveling nightmare, make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss what happens next. On their way to a horror-themed amusement park, Hal and Petey stop at a motel for the night. While working on a school project about family trees, Petey asks about their family. Hal hesitates before lying. He has no brother, but he does tell Petey about Lois. Later that night, the phone rings. After years of silence, Bill's voice cuts through the static. The monkey is back. He warns Hal to go to Ida's house and settle her estate before it's too late. Stepping outside for air, Hal notices water seeping from a puddle into the motel pool. Above, a loose fan teeters on the ledge. It crashes down, sending a surge of electricity through the water. A woman dives in. Her body convulses before bursting apart in a flash of light and smoke. Hal freezes. The curse is alive. He rushes inside, shaking Petey awake. Their trip is over. They need to leave. Hal and Petey arrive at Ida's home, where a perky real estate agent greets them. Petey's frustration grows when she casually mentions that Hal has a brother, something his father never told him. Inside, she chatters about the string of horrific accidents that have plagued the town since Ida's death. As she opens a closet door, a shotgun tumbles out. In an instant, it fires, tearing her apart. Hal stumbles back, horrified, as something wet and warm lands in his mouth. A fingertip. Meanwhile, the truth behind the chaos unfolds. Bill has been the one activating the monkey. Hiring Ricky to retrieve it, he's been using the cursed toy to orchestrate Hal's death, believing he was responsible for their mother's fate. But each attempt has only led to the deaths of bystanders. Desperate to finish what he started, he orders Ricky to kidnap both Hal and Petey, forcing the boy to turn the key, ensuring that, this time, the curse claims the right victim. Elsewhere, the slaughter continues. The monkey claims another life, as Hal's co-worker chokes to death on his vape pen, the toy's influence tightening its grip. He drags them to Bill's hideout, forcing Petey inside while keeping Hal at gunpoint. The path to Bill is littered with crude booby traps, but Petey pushes through, finally standing before the man orchestrating it all. Outside, Ricky shifts, absent-mindedly scratching his head with the barrel of his gun. His finger slips. A shot rings out. The bullet slams into a wasp nest. A furious swarm erupts, flooding into Ricky's open mouth. They burrow deep, tearing their way out through his face in a grotesque explosion of flesh and venom. Hal breaks free, racing inside just as Bill grips the monkey with shaking hands. Desperation twists into madness. He forces its tiny arm down, demanding it to play, to end this once and for all. The drum pounds, faster, louder. The ground rumbles beneath them. Outside, the sky splits open as a plane plummets, obliterating half the town in a fiery inferno. When the chaos settles, Hal steps forward, trying one last time to reach his brother. There's a flicker of hesitation in Bill's eyes, a moment where the rage gives way to something softer. And then, the monkey strikes the drum. A final booby trap triggers. A bowling ball rockets across the room, colliding with Bill's skull in a sickening crunch. Hal and Petey don't speak. There's nothing left to say. They turn and walk away, leaving the monkey behind. They drive through the town, the aftermath of destruction stretching around them. Smoke lingers in the air, the streets eerily silent. The monkey sits in the back seat, unmoving, but ever present. At a red light, a pale figure on a white horse passes by, gliding through the wreckage with an unsettling calm. Hal watches, a chill running down his spine, but he says nothing. Shaking off the moment, he turns to Petey and suggests they do something simple, something normal, a dance. They're always loved to dance. Petey hesitates, then nods. As they continue driving, a bus full of cheerleaders pulls up beside them, laughter and chatter filling the air. For a brief second, everything feels ordinary. Then, out of nowhere, a truck speeds past, grazing the side of the bus. In an instant, chaos erupts as the top is ripped away, leaving nothing but eerie silence. Hal grips the wheel. Petey stares straight ahead. They don't look back. They just keep driving. So that was it for today. This was the complete movie explanation and ending explained of the latest movie, The Monkey. See you next time.